Hey guys, and welcome back to another episode of Building Repertoires using Chessable. In this series, I take brand new openings that I've never played before, and I'm learning them for the first time ever using Chessable courses specific to each one. So I'm working through the courses, and after you see me play these openings in my Blitz games during the series, I'll cross-reference them with the Chessable course to make sure I'm playing the right way and making sure I'm learning and improving for next time. So I hope you guys really enjoy the series, and I hope it gives you an insight into how to study and improve at chess. But the white pieces again, so we know we're gonna go d4, we know we're gonna go knight c3, and bishop f4. E6 seems very common. I've seen this line all the time. Okay, knight c7. Bishop d6. So I'll go knight e5 here. Knight on c7 seems slightly misplaced. Can't really play b6 either, so it pretty much has to be the move c5. And maybe queen f3. I think actually and this is me sort of operating outside the scope of the course a little bit here. I think we are really supposed to take, I'm more used to playing these positions like queen f3, g4, g5, all that stuff, but don't think we'll really get that here. a6. So if b5, I don't think knight c6 really does anything. I'm thinking about e4, thinking about queen f3. Ultimately, I kind of like queen f3, maybe to go queen h3. Let's do this and queen h3. Queen h3 is an underrated move. I really wish my rook was already on d1. So d4 gets pushed. Immediately, you should at least consider knight g4. It makes a threat to win the game. Those are always nice. So knight g4, bishop g5. Knight g4 looks very attractive to me. Also, takes and rook d1 looks very difficult to meet. But I do think that knight g4 is quite a strong idea. So I'm going to go here. Basically, it feels like the most natural way to defend is kind of h6 or g6. And h6, I mean, there's sacrifices happening there. You don't have to ask me twice. So I preferred this one over bishop g5 just to be more ready for the h6 sacrifices. But yeah, this move makes sense. Now, if bishop g5, I think we'll see bishop e7. I'm not sure what exactly we're doing there. Let's start with this. Bishop e7, if we take here, the queen can actually take back, which is really surprising. So I think the move I might go for is queen h4 after this. Black can kind of escape here. If this happens, then we just take bishop c7. Oh yeah, I didn't even think of it. I was so focused on mating the guy. I didn't even think of it. Bishop c7, knight f6. That sounds really simple. g6 is just a mistake. Well, the only thing I can hope is that the position that we end up getting here is just more fun, and maybe we get a nice checkmate. Otherwise, it will be a horrible crime to have missed such a basic move. Well, luckily it paid off, and our opponent handed us a full queen to compensate for missing a free piece. So I think that makes up for it. Yeah, we'll bring our queen back, maybe with the idea to return to h6 or something. Bishop d6. I think knight g4 is just fine here, but also there's not really much that Black's intending here. We're up a full queen, right? He doesn't even have a pawn for it. Does not even have a pawn. Knight e4. Yeah, I'll play all the slow moves. Knight d5. I'm happy to trade. Let's bring the knight back. Just bringing our rooks to the middle. Not going to overcalculate here. We have some mate threats incoming. King there. All right. Let's start with this. He has to take, of course. Goes here. Let's lift the rook. Wish we could get a nice checkmate here, maybe with the rook and a queen sack, but ultimately we just need to reach the finish line. Good game, good game. So now, once again, I'll just head back to Chessable. I'll take a look at the course. Browse tree is my new favorite tool on Chessable. So I'll put the moves in. e6, knight b5, knight a6, e3, c6. Knight c7 was the move. As you can see, it's not really given here. I've played this line so many times, so I actually have a very good understanding of what's in the course and what's not in the course. And I know this one isn't because I've seen it before. But the idea of bishop d6, knight e5, I think is strong. And basically, whenever Black plays c5, I just remember that we're supposed to take. So I don't know if in this position, if how I followed up made the most sense. I castled a6. I went for queen f3, but let's see. Maybe I could have done a little bit better. Knight a4 seems like a very popular move. So we'll play another game. As you can see, I have set chess.com to only give me the white pieces. So currently enjoying myself here. Seven. Okay, I think I'm going to recycle this this knight to c4. So he's going to put his knight here. I wonder what he's going to be doing after that. Maybe g3. Let's go. And yeah, we can play a5. The b6 square is a nice one to kind of wrangle control of. We'll go rook e1. I want to play bishop f1 in reaction to that move. Play g3, knight h7. So he's really committed to this. I'm not overly concerned about that. We could go h4, but I don't know. Sometimes there's sacrifices, so I'm going to keep it really positional and just trade this bishop here. I still have knight b6 incoming. We know that he wants to do something like this. It's clear, but I'm not really too bothered by it. So we could decide to keep this bishop on the board. I'm going to choose an idea where we take and don't really mind trading that bishop. Takes back. The knight wants to come to f6, but it can't really go there without blundering this pawn. So let's now bring this knight into b6. I want to use that knight so that this knight still hits the pawn on d6. Let's go rook b1 so that now we can get an open b file and start to pressure b7. Rook can also manage to maybe get to b6. So I'm just looking at his position and I'm like, okay, knight has nothing. Pawn has nothing. Knight here, we always take. I'm not sure what he can really do. He can go knight here, it takes knight d5, but any kind of endgame, his position is going to be significantly worse than mine. His structure is just much worse. Also, after this, I don't need to take this, but I probably will. Okay, so he wants to trade queens. Generally, we're more than happy, so let's take. Let's put pressure on this. I can follow up with rook here to put pressure on this pawn, and you'll notice he just has too many weaknesses. He can't defend them all. This was a great move by him. Really like that one. He's trying to get the knight in, so definitely the right idea. I think we'll follow up with this. But at the end of the day, it's probably just a check, or at least I'm hoping it is. I'd like to win this pawn and then maybe push the c-pawn. My knight on d6 is also doing double duty. He goes for a check. This seems a little bit risky. I'm more interested in getting my king into the center and just away from danger. So I'm definitely not going to stick around with king g2. But try to imagine what his next idea is going to be. His rook's attacked, so he's probably going to go here or here. And I'm just trying to think, like, what is his next idea? So he goes here. I mean, he's literally threatening nothing. So I'm going to completely ignore it and just take the material. I mean, the thing is, yes, I can take, but I'm looking at that knight, and to put it mildly, I'm not impressed. So I'm going to play rook here. Funny looking move. I want to play c4, and I don't want to let him play knight here. That's exactly what happened. And we want to trade rooks, obviously. I'm totally ignoring these knights. Like, they're not really doing anything that bothers me. Let's defend this pawn. I just don't see a single threat that he has. As soon as he plays this, by the way, he's also effectively going to be mating himself. So maybe we can, I mean, we can put our rook anywhere, but let's put it here. And next move here, and rook b8 will be checkmate. So he can take here and maybe dream of mating me, but these knights are all useless. I can take it, but there's just no need. GG to Motino. Motino. Once again, we'll head over there, we'll double check, and you'll see d4. There is a move c5, d5, e5. I think a6 was played. And bishop e7, I think he played knight d7, bishop e7, and bishop g4 is the only idea given. So, yeah, there's not much to double check in the course. It's if black doesn't go for this idea, then you'll see, you know, the position that we got in our game is, you know, well over +1. So a very, very successful opening advantage and simply nothing to worry about. You guys, let me know if I should turn off the setting that makes me play the white pieces every game, because I can turn it off next game if you want. Just let me know. But at the moment, I have it switched on, so just keep me updated there. So knight c3, d5. I'm not too sure what we're supposed to do here. I'm going to go bishop f4. I think we want to go knight b5. Of course, we'll get booted out with c6, but we're happy to return. I'm definitely in the market for bishop takes a6. Hmm. I wonder if we can play knight f3 first. This seems like it's a little bit hasty. I'm going to hold off. Bishop d6, however. Hang on a second, buddy. This is not what's supposed to happen here. Okay, I'll definitely take this now. Let's fly in with the move knight a4. If queen here, we can play c3. Remember, these bishops are also hitting one another. If he takes me, we're happy to take back, and I've got two beautiful squares for my knights. Jump in. Might think that this move forces my knight to return, but I don't think it does. I can play c3 here. And yeah, next move will just castle. The knights have beautiful homes on e5 and c5. And his knight doesn't even own the e4 square because I can simply kick it out with f3. Let's castle. I always have b4 as well if we need a move there. Knight e5 threatens knight c6, so that needs to be protected. Knight c5 will hit the bishop. And even if it doesn't even get defended, so let's go ahead and take it. We'll drop the b2 pawn, but spooky, spooky. I don't think we care too much about that. Takes and knight d7 looks pretty nice because now our knight can go here, our queen can come out to h5. We're also threatening this. And yeah, our knight's really safe on c5 as well. So, not a concern. Rook c1 to start, or we could just get the queen out. Kind of like rook c1. Nice move to begin with. Okay. I know it makes a lot of sense to take here, but I'm actually going to go here. I like preventing the queen from returning to defense. I like hitting this pawn, which is actually more valuable to me than that pawn. And I think that with rook e1 and queen h5, we'll be able to win on that side of the board. Okay, so let's go rook c3. Again, feels like I'm spending a lot of time here, but once this and this happens, I think we'll probably just be mating my opponent, and otherwise I'm pretty safe here myself. I don't need to rush and take this. I want to start there. I think we actually want to start maybe with the rook, just because if we go with the queen, there might be rook b1 and more things for me to worry about. It's a pretty interesting move, actually. Credit my opponent for that one. Didn't see that. It does prevent queen h5, so forced me to go the long way. All right, rook there. Let's get there eventually. That was pretty clever. Rook e2. Jeez, this guy lay off for a second. Rook g4, I tell you, the guy's all over me. Like, oh, that's probably not the right one. Now, might be able to just win with this. Yeah, queen g6, knight e6 or knight d7 should be pretty good. Be impressive to stop this. Rook e7 takes rook g7, and we have a nice mating pattern with queen e8 or queen h6, so it's not going to be much that he can do. If he played rook g7, we would go queen h6 and mate in 2. I have to say, like, rook e2 and rook g4, this was the most hilarious kind of defense that actually worked in terms of delaying things, so didn't see those moves at all. Quite a resilient guy, especially down a piece. All right. Can we get a game of the black pieces, Captain Micmac? Sure, I can do that for you. No problem. I just switched off the setting, so just let me know if you want a game with the white pieces or the black pieces. I can just toggle it on or off for you guys. All right, we finally get an e4, e5 game. Knight f3, knight c6. We go right into this, and so does he. Knight d5, hitting the knight. Now we want knight f4. I'm trying to remember, do I just jump right in there and hit him with knight f4 here? Because there's something that makes me think that we take a little bit more of a measured approach. Knight's tempting there. Just gonna go here and keep it moving. Not really remembering very well what I'm supposed to do there. He castles. I mean, you're gonna make me ask the question, what happens if I take? Hey, I'm no e4, e5 expert, but I can take a few pawns, you know? I could do that. Takes. Bishop here. I think we'll just take. The knight on e2 doesn't impress me. We can go here, but when you think about it, I think that the rook actually wants to make it to e1, so I'm not going to rush to help him. Now, bishop a6, as far as I can see, should win a pawn here. Because we can take and take. But is that actually going to be preferable? Hard to say. You know what? I've been in a pawn-grabbing mood in this game so far. Let's just do it. Let's just do it. I'm going to make him prove to me that this is acceptable. Okay. So I think we're going to do something slightly unorthodox. I'm going to play knight b7 because I really want to play c5 and I really want to stop something from going to d6. So knight on b7 actually looks so stupid. But he's actually doing so much. Don't clown on him. Let's take that. Let's play this move so that our pieces have an avenue to the middle of the board. We would love to go for trades. Okay, a5 just to stop the move b4, which looked like a good way for him to maybe simplify. Just try to gain some more space here. King wants to make it there. Let's put some pawns on light squares. We're generally pretty happy to see moves like this. a4 I want to do, but there is this move. So what I'm going to do instead is just put the king in the center of the board. It's actually quite strong here. Okay, so we have a good idea, I think, what he's going to do. We don't mind a trade here, but when he moves to the g file, we want to be able to challenge that immediately. So yeah, this move, we need to be able to play that. Let's bring our king up, and a4 is going to be my next move. Yeah. So even though he can take us here and then take on a4, we'll just bring our rook back to a8. We have two connected pass pawns, and if he doesn't take us, we will take him. So yeah, this will just be really good for us. Two connected pass pawns. We don't care about the rest of our pawns, and he can't even go and take them very easily. So we'll do this. Rook a2 will also be a check. And at this point, we can just give up. This pawn is highly irrelevant. We have two pawns marching down the board, and they will be unstoppable. You want to feed me more of your pawns? Please. Please. It goes here. Let's give this check. Let's give this check. And We have this move, maybe to simplify. This one is obviously much, much better. Let's go ahead and take his rook. Obviously, need to checkmate with the king wherever possible. It's a matter of pride. And I think the game was, first of all, I don't think I played it, maybe according to the course, but if I could be so bold, I don't think he had a clue how to actually play his opening. So let me double check, and this is what it's all about right now. We'll go to our e4, e5 course. And we'll look at this. e4, e5. Bishop here, knight f6, knight g5. So this is very easy to remember. So after bishop here, yes, we got knight d5. But knight f3, I think, is the main move that I've looked at. I don't think I've actually looked at knight e4. Knight f3, I remember we played bishop d6 and knight f4. Those types of ideas. So knight e4 is actually a new move to me. And it turns out knight f4 immediately is the move, not bishop e7. So let me have a look at these lines because I don't think I've seen them before. Okay, knight e4, knight f4. Bishop f1, f5. I'm waiting for the move g3. I assume that's being played. And wow. So now you've got me wondering, what if white had played g3 before we had a chance to castle? So that'll be my first question that I'm going to ask the engine really quick. This much I understand. But after bishop c5, what if g3? I'm sure there's a very easy answer. It seems like queen d4, but then I was looking at this and wasn't sure what was going on. So g3, queen d4 as expected. And after queen f3, apparently just knight e6. Huh. Marcelinho. All right. d4. We're going to bring the knight out. Knight f6, bishop f4, we're ready for. c5, e4 as well. Those are the two main moves that I would expect here. Maybe you'd see this. Maybe you'd see disconnection, as it looks like. Are we going to get credited with the win? He made a move, so. Hey, and there we go. We see the move c5. This might be truly one of the first times I've seen c5 in this series. I'm trying to remember, but really uncommon. And so the idea is e4 takes, queen takes. And after this, I actually don't really know too much what to do. Taking the queen is nice and obvious. Surprisingly, after I take the queen, I don't actually think I'm supposed to take back. I think I'm going to go bishop f4 and castle. I can take this back maybe at another point in time. Again, this could be the wrong idea, but he has an inkling of what I'm up to. Let's go ahead and give this check. Knight d5 certainly comes to mind here. Yeah, knight d5, really hard to refuse because knight here is so strong. I mean, this could not have been a worse decision. Ouch. Oof. Oof. It hurts. Ugh. Very one-sided game. All right, d4. Well, we're going to play our other opening. We're ready for the Budapest. But after knight f3, I usually play e6 because, number one, there's a lot of people that play the London. And then we'll play a line that we've been playing against that. And also now we get bishop g5. So I'm going to start with h6, which is usually what I recommend as soon as you see that. And I'll play the system that I like to play against the, let's say, Trumpovsky, Torre stuff. And it's usually d6, knight d7, and surprisingly c6 and e5. Seems a little weird, but wow. So I told you guys I was planning to play this and this. Buddy plays bishop. Buddy plays bishop b5. It's like a gift. So I really like this line. d6, c6, and e5. It feels like you're making a lot of pawn moves. So it doesn't feel great at the start. But so you do that. And then amazingly, and this will be a shock to you, you take your queen and you put it back on d8, because I want to play bishop e7, but my queen here is a little bit stupid. I'm not really sure what happens after takes there, so I'm just going to hold off right now. I also get to show you the setup a little bit better. Knight here, let's go g6. So we'll completely corral the knight like that. Bishop e7, bishop g7. Usually the bishop wants to go here, along with knight c5. Knight c5 looks pretty damn good. Threaten the bishop. But yeah, we can move our bishop to either square. He's going to move the bishop back. Makes sense. I think I'm... do I want to go there? I think I might go here. It's so normal to go here, but the only reason I played g6 was actually to stop that. So now that I've done that, I don't think I'm too concerned. I'm going to make another kind of waiting move. Super useful one, though. a5. Because I'm wondering where he's going to put his king. Okay, now I know the king's going this way, so I feel a little bit better doing this move myself. He goes h4. I think we can probably just play h5 here. You can go knight g5, but I'm just going to say we're not going to be too concerned. Well, let's jump into what looks like a slightly forcing line. So it takes knight g5. We'll make sure to go and take this pawn, which is really important. Bishop's covering this, so after knight takes, we're not going to play that. We're definitely going to take this pawn. Knight h6 looks scary, but it's definitely not a threat. And his king, like his other rook can't join the action because he didn't castle this way. Queen here. I mean, basically all he did was give up a pawn and then play queen here to offer a queen trade. So it doesn't really go hand in hand. Queen takes, queen h6. I'll give like a couple seconds thought, but ultimately we're interested in playing this move. Okay, let's play bishop e6. a3, a4 looks really nice. He goes for b3. Play king g7. It's always a useful move. Should we just keep it simple? I'm up one pawn here, so I'm not going to try to overcomplicate things. Let's do this. Bring our pieces in. Go for f5 here. Knight c4, we're snapping that off in a heartbeat. If I can ever get knight against bishop, I'd love to. Okay, so he goes here. Pretty decent move. Guess we'll go like this. We'll just bring our knight back like this. Go for this one. Go for that and probably knight b6. So I'm always ready to bring my knight in. And g5, g4 is going to happen pretty soon. Now let's just go for this. Now that I have a protected pass pawn here, I think we can go for some kind of trades and should make things a little bit easier. He just blundered a pawn. The knight should have stayed there. I want to go for this. Realize it's actually not quite a blunder. Wish it was. Okay, we'll have to go for the more... ooh, didn't expect him to do that. Have to go for the riskier approach here because time's slightly short. So we probably want to go there. Yeah, we'll just do this. I think it makes things easier in terms of pre-moves. We just want to bring our knight here, and as long as we get our knight to d2, then we'll always be able to win this pawn by force. Just pre-move this. He's probably going to go for it. Just going to go here as a waiting move. And then this will always be a checkmate with those moves like that. GG. At the end game got a little bit sketchy, that's for sure. But I'm remembering the opening, and I like to say, we talk about how I handle bishop g5. I love that. I love that opening, really do. e4, e5, starting to really get up here against the 2250 right now. So we'll go for the Ruy Lopez, d3. So this is the line that we're playing, b5, bishop here. Move c3 certainly looks like it prompts d6. I'm actually kind of considering bishop b6. I wonder if that makes sense. Trying to remember what we're supposed to. I mean, d6 looks so good, so normal. Just play this. But yeah, I imagine the bishop has to step back. So knight d2. Maybe the idea is just knight f1. I'm always looking at moves like that, just bringing the bishop back. I think that's what we'll go for. Okay, I'm going to take the opportunity to play knight a5. We'll force the bishop to go back. Play h6 and castle. White's playing really, I don't know, not doing too much here. So, don't feel like I'm under that much pressure when white plays like this. Like, I don't have an incredible advantage or anything, but... And I definitely know for a fact I haven't played this perfectly. Let's bring this knight back. Okay, bishop e6. I wonder what he's doing. Yeah, I was gonna say, is he playing g4? And g4 on a, just overall, I am kind of happy to see this. So I'll play g6 just to stop that move. And like I said, I'm generally pretty happy to see the game develop like this. So a3 almost looks like he wants to long castle. Play this. Let's go rook b8. Feels like it might be useful. b4, maybe a5. But he's still looking at this. Let's go queen b6. Maybe it's time to start pushing here. If g5, I'll always play knight h5 and hop into this fantastic f4 square. So I'm kind of waiting for that. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do this. Knight c4. Come back. Is this? So I'll play this b3 move. I think this is going to be extremely good. That bishop, I mean, have a look at it. It's not playing chess right now. That's all you need to know. Let's jump the knight in. Takes. I'll definitely take back this way. And I think we're approaching a very, very nice looking position. So we'll bring our knight here. And all we need to do is basically lock things up and trade pieces, because I don't really I don't really believe that that bishop is part of the game. So I feel like we can just operate around it. Let's just stop f4. Not that it was really any good, but let's just stop it. So we'll pretend like we're really making some threats here. Let's just take back with the pawn. We'll play f6 as well. Guard this and also hit that pawn. At some point I might bother this knight. Maybe it would have been good to do it right there to stop this. Yeah, so let's actually do this. Just a weird move. The knight has nowhere to go, so I make some of his pieces move to squares that I don't think they want to be on, like this. I could do this, but I'm just going to take over the H file right now. Let's guard this pawn. I realized that was actually a slight threat. Play f6. Move this bishop. It's a crafty move. I think I'll do this just with 6 seconds. I mean, I don't really know if we have a single threat here after knight f2, but I think we just don't have enough time to think about it. And my only hope would be just luck if he... Ooh, I don't know about that move. GG. Let him get a mate there. Yeah, got a little carried away talking about how good my position was, and ultimately just got too low on time. So well played by the opponent here. He didn't do that much this game, but he certainly played a great blitz game. So yeah, no regrets about the game, but tons of regrets about the time management. Yeah, position like this is just full depression for white, but I never pulled the trigger on this move. Somehow I convinced myself that I just like enjoy the position, just keep making it better and better, and eventually I'd crash through at the end. But wrong decision. Not a very inspiring game by white, but a good blitz game. Like I said, he managed his time really well. I'm really curious about the opening, because whenever white plays in this like really slow moving fashion, personally, that's when e4, e5 scares me the least. I find the positions to be super easy to play. Like, I know all my ideas as black. The way that I mess up e4, e5 is white plays, I don't know, d4, a4, bishop g5, and just like, I'm not ready for it, or I don't know how to handle it. But when people do a slow moving approach, I'm actually usually in a good mood. I'm like, okay, now I get all my ideas out. Not that scared. So let's see if we handled it correctly. Bishop a4, knight f6. So I know b5 in here, but c3 is literally the most popular move. Bishop g5 is the only thing. And once again, knight d2, it's just not in the course. And I think it's not there because it's too passive. It just doesn't do anything, you know? So after this, I really am on my own, but I was fairly happy with what we came up with. I went for bishop b6. Knight a5 I felt a little suspicious of, because we probably needed to follow up with c5 straight away. So I kind of regretted this move. Maybe knight e7 to g6 or h6 castle. So this one I was a little iffy on, unless I play the move c5. Because I didn't play c5, he could play b4, and then this knight a5 move I think doesn't make a lot of sense. So b4, a4, I think I needed to understand that you can only play this if you follow up with c5. It's the only way that it makes sense. So this was an error on my part. Didn't fully understand the knight a5 idea. And then from here, yeah, I think we played fine. Yeah, like I said, These are the e4, e5 positions that do not bother me personally. When white is not playing in the center, not doing anything too aggressive, then I usually get more comfortable. Okay. d4, knight c3, bishop f4, and c6. Okay. Not the most most intriguing variation. I imagine e4 is probably a pretty decent move here, but I'll stick to e3 for now. So I think the setup we want to go for is with knight e2 and c4. So I'll try to do that. Queen c7, definitely a move we're kind of happy to see. You know, he wants to play knight d7. I get it, but still, I think I'm happy to see this overall. And I think, how do we want to play this? Okay, we'll start with rook c1. He's moving the queen so many times; it's insane. Yeah, this is definitely in our favor. I'll play c5 here. Takes, and I think we can go here and we can execute a plan that I really love to do. We could start with knight e5, but I'm going to go here. Yeah, I know this looks really weird, but I'm actually going to play bishop e2. You're like, what the heck's going on? He's moving his queen again. It's crazy. Now we can bring our knight back and bring this knight in to e5 and play f3 to kick his knight out. So now I fully control and own that square. I'll actually probably go take. I think we can take this. And then we can start to pressure on the other side of the board. So let's get our knight in here. It's going to move the bishop. Probably moves like this. Let's just go queen d2. I don't think it's an option for him to live with that knight there, so he kind of has to play this. And the only thing I want to make sure not to allow is that. I need to stop e5. So I am going to play f4. All my pawns are on dark squares, so I can hopefully look forward to an endgame here. Want to play this? I think we do. I want to eventually play b4. I didn't want to play a3 first in case he did a4. Ooh, that's b6. It's kind of a fairly committal move. I think I'll just let him. Yeah, I'll go here, eyeball the king, but I'm definitely going to be taking with the rook there. He goes here, a little bit sloppy on my part to allow it, because now the game is just going to basically be a draw. He goes here. I'm definitely going to take, even though it's not a great move, just because at least there's some life in the position now. Not life in the way that we want it. Definitely not. Oof. Okay, we'll go here. We can't let him go. Bishop h5. We just can't. That, to me, that is like more detrimental. So let's go here. And I think we actually have a good chance to still win the game, even though we don't have. Let's go here. Even though we don't have. Don't think you want to trade. Yeah. Even though we don't have a pawn. So I was really, really upset to have allowed that. B5's kind of frustrating. We'll play h4 probably. Yeah, we can go here. Now, if we can trade the rooks, I know it looks counterintuitive, but if we can trade the rooks, we actually will be okay here. And we might actually win the game. Feels weird, but rook trade is everything. so now basically we shouldn't really lose. Okay. I maybe could have won if I had played king b6 when he played king d7, and then we can pre-move really easily. So this is what I was saying about trading rooks. He really shouldn't do that. It's a massive mistake. Then I can pre-move so easily because all my pawns are on dark squares, and there's nothing that he can do that's really dangerous except this. But obviously, if I have 3 seconds, Buddy should be playing e5 and flagging me, like, no question. Not everyone has that type of confidence to be able to flag people. So really, this was kind of like a stellar game. But what I forgot here was I totally forgot he could play b5. So I did this thinking he had to take me. But how annoying was b5? And now I could draw the game by like playing b4, but I was like, you know what? If we play b4, there's literally nothing happening in this position. So even though we're slightly better when it comes to our bishop, our opponent did a really good job locking the game up. And now I don't have any queenside pressure. So we needed to just take this and we would have been much better. Totally forgot about b5. So nice game. Instructive on the dark squares. Stonewall is really easy to counter once you sort of learn how to take over the e5 square and also simultaneously remove the knight from your e4 square. And then all of a sudden, this doesn't look too impressive. But huge miss by me allowing b5. So I think we're lucky to escape with a draw. QC Loco, thanks for the 3 months with Prime. 45 months with Prime as well from Tim in Philly. Good to see you again, Tim. All right. We're playing D. Sanchez. C6, bishop f4, an early queen b6, which I think in general we're always reacting with this. Rook b1. Let's go e3. But bishop g4 is interesting because I would have said that this is what I wanted to do. Here, I think e4. But I'm going to probably hold back on that and just go for this. Okay, we see this. That's usually a sign for me to plop a knight into b5. Here, e4 seems a little bit rushed at the moment. We can get a knight to b5. Wondering how worth it that would be. This could be a pretty wild game depending on how I decide to play it. I'll go knight f4, knight b5. I think there's enough. I think there's enough threats here. We can give it a go. Knight takes d5. Who knows what's happening here? It'll kind of be a mess. Take this. Queen's hit, and I can technically still get myself out. I think we'll go b4 here to take this pawn on c5. Queen a3, maybe we have this. And can we take here? Rook a1. I think that's probably fine. We could also play rook here. Yeah, I think maybe I'll start with this and then take. And queen c3, we can run our king. And somehow I think we're... I mean, our knight, the thing is our knight is getting out. So our knight's escaping. And we should be all right here. We're very happy to see a move like that. Okay, we'll threaten this pawn and more or less force that, but then rook b1, and there are some problems. We can take this, we can take this. After this, we can just double our rooks, and I think things are okay there. Okay, d5 only feels like the right idea. Let's double the rooks first. Seems like the way to do things. Okay. Let's just go. Think this. Let's go for a capture. And GG to D. Sanchez. A fun game for us there. Nice game, buddy. Okay, e4. I don't think we'll see the move c4 again, but we're back to this. Now let's try to have a good game here. Knight f6. Want to go for b5, bishop c5. Trying our best to remember how to do this. Surely it got to be d6 here. a4. Guess rook b8. So c3, there's not really knight a5 now, which is important to note. d4 is ready to happen. To me, bishop b6 still looks somewhat reasonable, but I feel like because he can play moves like knight a3, like, am I really supposed to play bishop b6? I would say it still makes sense. With bishop here, we can still go for h6, g5. Okay, h6. So bishop d5, the rook's not on a8, so that's comfortable. Knight a3. Now, I have the option to play b4, and then I won't lose my b-pawn, but it seems to allow other things like bishop a4 and knight c4. Not to mention that castling also affords us the opportunity to play bishop g4, and I think I'll probably stick with this. Maybe knight e7 to g6. Plus, we have bishop takes f2 and rook takes. So this, I'm super happy to see because I wanted to play this move anyway. I think this is good for me. He's rerouting the knight, but now I'm starting to get a little concerned for his position. But still after this, he has h3. I think we want to still go for knight g6. Taking is the other one, but yeah, I'll stick with this. Yeah, so he has to play that. I don't think there's anything here, so we're definitely going to take. And I don't know. Maybe this is the right decision, maybe not. Or by taking this. Can always go back to that nice square. He takes here. Getting that pawn's got to be b4. Go back, and I think our position has got to be a little bit better. There's this, there's this. First, we're also looking at that. We want to go for this. I think almost c6 is in order. Let's play the safe-looking move just because it lets us take. This is a good-looking move here. I don't really see a way that I can follow up to keep things, so maybe this. Just maybe. Not completely crazy. Hey, I got an extra pawn. Who's proud of me? They don't look very good. They really don't look very good. They really don't look very good. But it is an extra pawn. Let's not forget that. I want to put my rook behind the pawn. Ooh, that was a really good move I didn't expect. Pre-move a check? It's to take my pawn. Oh, he doesn't do it. What a sneaky guy. Wait, lets me get a queen? Oh! What the hell is this game? Oh, I mouse slipped. I deserve that. I mouse slipped king takes h5. What the hell was that game? What was the finish to that game? What on God's green earth? Hello? Nothing made sense there. I missed, he missed. Oh yeah, well, we'll get to the opening later. That's for the nerds. This one's for the fans. Okay, didn't expect him to play king f3, but honestly, I had to start taking some risks and making some predictions. I kind of thought that he would bring his rook down here, and so I went for the pawn push. Turned out to be a really bad move because of rook a5. Nice one by him. He also didn't take my pawn, which was super smart. Then he allowed me to get a queen. I played queen d4, and honestly, we deserved the loss. With 0.7 seconds, this should be fairly easy because you just pre-move either this or pre-move that, and then hover the other one. So you'd like pre-move this, and then hover this. It'll be mouse slip. Of all the squares, all the times to mouse slip, that was the moment. Let's have a look at the opening now. Because, what did we have here? Oh yeah, d3 and a4. So I would say a pretty slow moving approach by white. But as I said, that a4 move always throws me off. What a finish to the game. Castle, I think he played a4 now. I think he might have castled first. No. I think he played a4. Anyway. Doesn't really matter. We got here. And so the move is castle. I brought the bishop back. We might transpose. h3, bishop g5, rook e1. Yeah, these are not really the moves that we saw, but maybe it transposes. Yeah, not exactly. I think we picked a reasonable Yeah, this looked pretty good for black. d4 again. Predictable with the white pieces. Bishop f5 will start with f3. I think we can play e4 now. Yeah, bishop g6 is definitely the move that makes the most sense. I'm wondering, do we want to play bishop f4 here? Which is for sure not crazy. I almost want to play h4. There's this bishop to d4 move, which is kind of distracting. Yeah, interesting. Not actually sure best way to proceed here. Bishop e4, we can throw in a3 as well. We'll bring our knight out. h4, I like as a move. But I felt a little bit too much with like takes and bishop b4 still in the position. So maybe a missed opportunity, but I mean here he's kind of handing us the d pawn for free. I still think I want to start with h4. So now we can throw in knight f4, which is an extra benefit. Even though I could win a pawn, I mean this is better than winning a pawn. Taking on g6. Goes here. I think I much have to take this now. Kind of regret allowing the knight there, because like if I take, then frees position up. But let's take, and maybe we can go queen e2 and renew that threat. This is an idea. I'm still hitting the pawn. Okay, we get this. Not sure if we cashed in the best possible advantage, but we cashed in something. Here. Maybe f4 would have been a little bit nicer. We'll just castle. Probably bring our king over here as well. I'm really looking at g3 here just to play bishop h3. Seems like that could be worth it, because if he takes, maybe f4 traps the queen in there. He might be losing. Yeah. Maybe this is not as bad as I thought, but my understanding was that f4, and I'm not sure you can make it out. And f5. That's a tricky move. It's all about this queen now. Whole game revolves around it. Jeez. Okay. Oh. In for a penny, in for a pound. Gotta keep this queen on the board. So knight e4 takes, bishop h3, takes. You take the rook on d8 at the end, which is probably the only reason that that line is even presentable. Because even still at the end of that line, it's kind of tricky. Queen's looking very, very dead there. Queen takes h4. we have bishop f5, but queen captures on h4 makes the point that you can't move the knight anyway, so. Just mess with him. Oh, I thought he was going king here. Cut you off. Nice, good game. Good game. Not a difficult one, to be honest. All I know about bishop f5 is normally after f3, you're supposed to stop e4. However, I have to say, this position always looks better optically to me than it doesn't when it gets played out. So if I'd gone for h4, h6, we can play h5. Also bishop d3 though, kind of nice to maybe have an idea to take. Takes knight e2 or knight, no, not knight h3. I think in these lines, queen e2 and long castle is surprisingly a really good mechanism. There we go. That's much more like it. e4, e5. There we go. Knight to c3. Hang on one sec. Hang on just a sec here. Are you even allowed to play this way? I don't think you are. Okay, knight back to c3. I'm trying to think like where the best place for these pieces. Queen here. I think we want a long castle, so I'm gonna prepare for that. Can't take that move seriously, that's for sure. g4, this guy's on crack. Let's get our king out of there and let's checkmate him. Why the heck not? Bishop here. Let's put that knight in there. Queen c6. If you want to take me, I think there's trouble brewing on the H file for you. Knight g2. Okay, fianchettoing the knight makes a lot of sense. Makes a lot of sense. Let's tickle this idea. Knight e4 drops the c2 pawn. We'd love an open h file, but if we ever play h5, unfortunately, he's going to play g5. But can't do it right now. Take our opportunity. Open h file, baby. I think it's important to realize I want another piece to join the attack. So while f5 is tempting, I think it's a lot better to have the h file open. Both are great moves, but I much prefer the h file. Do we take? You can take with that pawn. I think we probably start with bishop to g5. Bishop c5 is good as well, but let's just go here and then take. Yeah, queen is so optimally placed. I mean, there's just nothing that the opponent can do. Takes here. We can take that and take h3. Takes here, we get the open H file, so we can cause all kinds of trouble. C2's hanging, F3's hanging. It's all hanging. Bishop takes knight, queen takes. This one is probably resignable. Yeah. Takes here. Looks like the way to do it. This pawn is also hanging. Obviously, taking is really, really simple here. Takes, queen takes. We have to reckon with checkmate. But I think we can with the move rook e4. So we definitely need to stick it to this guy. We can't just be trading queens. He definitely doesn't deserve a queen trade. So we're not going to be giving him one. We're covering this. And we're also bringing these two pieces into the attack. And remember, this doesn't actually make any threats. Not even a check. So we can just play rook here. And that should take care of things. Still nothing. Not even a check. He's left with nothing. And that was an e4, e5 game, but just a really, really easy victory because of our opponent's bishop c4 in the opening. I don't know why people keep allowing this, but it seems to be a commonality in e4, e5. Everyone is blundering this. So I'll just say thank you very much and keep taking it. Lucky Lamau. You made it to the end of yet another episode. I hope that this was really informative, letting you guys know how to study chess, how to improve at it, and how to use Chessable as a tool to help do so. At the end of the day, I think it's one of the best ways that you can learn openings, and I think that this series is a pretty good example of that. So if you liked those courses that I was working through, or if you wanted to pick up different ones more specific to your repertoire, make sure to use chessable.com/chessbrah if you're going to upgrade to a pro membership. That's all from me, and we'll see you in the next episode.